so back I have another feature card buddy fight deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon channel. And let's get started. So, I've never done one of these decks before, and I frankly enjoyed it, and I've been meaning to do this for the longest ass time, but I finally got to do it because it was cheap enough. Star Dragon World, Jackknife. It does not have Grand These, so anyone who's wondering and is only here because of that, get off right now, because I can guarantee you it's not in here. Unless I accidentally put the wrong picture and name, but I'm pretty sure I did not. So, if you want to geek out like I do, where I'll say the Luminize chant as I'm drawing my cards, the Luminize chant that I've chosen for this deck would be, the combination of dragons and machines have created our new future. Luminize, future Dragonar, if you want to geek out. And I probably just geeked out right there. But let's go ahead and continue with the actual deck. So first off is the obvious flag, Star Dragon World. Just the standard, you can use Star Dragon World cards and generic cards. The buddy is Golden Dragonar, Jackknife, size 2 with 6,000 power, 6,000 defense, a critical of 2, card cost. Put this card on top of a monster on your field and pay 1 gauge. Counteract. During your turn, choose up to 2 cards on your opponent's field and drop a soul from this card for each chosen card. If you do, destroy the chosen cards and gain 1 gauge and 1 life for each card destroyed. You may only use this ability once per turn. He has the move, double attack, and soul guard abilities. So one that's useful. One that means you can call him to the left and equip an item or right, whatever, and then just have him move to the center as a defense. He has double attack, which makes him decently aggressive. He has soul guard, so it's harder to kill him. And also, during your turn, say you couldn't kill something or say you can't kill something currently, use his ability to blast soul, kill that thing, and then gain life and gauge, which is just really helpful all around because the deck does somewhat have a gauge problem depending on how you played the game, and it just helps with the charging of gauge. It can help you regain some life points since you kind of want to go down to 6 life in this deck, because I'm going to tell you now, I do run 1 Dragon Force, but you kind of want to go down to 6 life, so gain down to 6 life, then gaining life points back, and the gauge is really helpful. So, all around a good card. The only drawback is that you have to have a monster on the field to do this, but that's not really hard to do, considering you can call it on top of literally any monster possible, so it's not really a bother at all. Now onto actual cards. First off, there are no size 0s, so it's size 1, 2 copies of Star Dragonar Blazer, 3k power, 2k defense, critical of 2. He just has the move ability. You normally use him if you... I don't really draw into him that often. You normally use him if you were to call Blazer and then the size 2 Jack, Golden Dragonar. So pretty much if you don't want to move Golden to the center because you want to keep a Jack on your field, you move Blazer to the center instead because it's Blazer. He's mostly there for fodder. He can be useful in certain scenarios, but otherwise I just use him for fodder as in move targets. 2 copies of Dragonarms Strength, 5k power, 2k defense, critical of 1, size 1. If you do not have a monster in the center, and this card is in the soul of a Neo Dragon on your field, that Neo Dragon gets plus 2k power and penetrate for the turn. Penetrate currently. There is a reason why I run this. There's a certain item that does well with this card, and if I didn't have that item, I would not run this. And then it has Cross Knives where you shove it from your field into the soul of a Neo Dragon. So that's mostly why it's here. It just gets the Cross Knives and gets the Penetrate off. That's mostly why it's here. The Penetrate is just useful. The 2k never really matters too much. I didn't forget the 2k actually. 2 copies of Dragonarms Gaia Fang. I would have bought more of this card, and I would have gotten more of this card too if there wasn't only 2 copies left. I swear I would have gotten more if I could have. So 3k defense, 3k power, critical of 1. Act, put this card from your hand to the soul of a card on your field. This is the only Cross Knives card, to my knowledge, that activates from the hand, which means you don't have to call something and not be able to Cross Knives because it goes oversized. The other Jack I run is a size 3, which means I can't use Gaia Fang with it unless it's, in my hand. If it's in the soul of a Neo Dragon, all cards on your field get plus 2k power for each card in the soul. That's useful, because you normally just stack soul in this deck. A lot of cards are going to get power. This thing in the soul alone gets plus 2k, but then plus another card, which normally is going to be 4k each, which means numbers are already hitting for big numbers. That was incorrect grammar, but I don't give a shit. So the abilities of Neo Dragon with this card in its soul, and abilities of all souls in the Neo Dragons cannot be nullified, and then it has Cross Knives. That's also useful. That means you can't enter Gaia it. If you don't know what enter Gaia is, it basically, on attack, nullifies the abilities of everything your opponent has and prevent them from countering. Essentially, they can't do shit. This, at least to prevent your Neo Dragon abilities from being nullified, so if it's in the center, at least you can defend yourself with it. 4 copies of Dragonarms Slowing, 3k defense, 3k power, 1k defense, critical of 2. When your Neo Dragon with this card in its soul attacks, if you do not have a monster on the center, you gain 1 gauge. Its ability only activates once per turn, and then it has Cross Knives. That's useful because you just get to charge a gauge. Granted, it's only once per turn, but still useful because you have multiple in the soul. When you activate it, it will all go off at the same time. So 4 copies. Finally, 4 copies of Dragonarms Radiant Alma. This is here for 2 reasons. One, in the very, very, very off one of situational, and 2, because I really like how it looks in the anime, like when it's equipped to Jack. So 2k power, 1k defense, critical of 2. Act if you have 6 life or less, and this card is in the soul of a Neo Dragon. You may pay a gauge if you do for that turn. The Neo Dragon gets double attack. I only have 2 Neo Dragons in this deck that don't already have double attack, and I would only do this to one of them, and that one is a size 3, but this card's only in the deck because it just looks cool when it's Cross Knives with Jack, and then it has Cross Knives. Golden Dragon of Jackknife, 4 copies. We've already been over this card. And finally, Star Dragon of Bonds, Jackknife, size 3, 4 copies, by the way. 6k power, 6k defense, critical of 2. This is the card I've been talking about for a while. Card cost, pay 2 gauge and put a monster from your drop zone into this card's soul. When this card attacks, deal 1 damage to the opponent. If you have an item equipped, this card gets plus 2k power and 2k defense at all times. Then items on your field get plus 2k power. So this thing's already an 8-2-8 if you have an item equipped, and your item gets plus 2. And I think most of my items have like a 4k base, which means 6, and then one of them has a 6k base, so 8. But then if you have the Gaia Fang in the soul, this already shoots up to 10 on its own, which is really good. It has move and soul guard. It's mostly here for like that 1 damage ability and like the extra power for the item just in case. But yeah, 4 copies. Dragonarms Factory onto spells. Drop a Dragonarms from your hand, draw 2 cards, you may only cast a card once per turn. This deck somewhat has a hand problem if like you want to get certain Dragonarms into the drop zone, because to call Jack, you need to have a monster in drop, and like say all your gauge is non-monsters, you can use Dragonarms Factory to discard a monster, draw 2, and then you can use it to bring out something else. So 4 copies. 4 copies of Ivory Barrier, which I keep misplaying because I keep forgetting it doesn't. I keep thinking it doesn't have a cast cost, even though it blatantly says it right there. Your opponent may only cast this card during your opponent's turn. Pay a gauge, counter nullify the attack, then you may put a hand card into your soul of a monster on your field. If you do, you gain 3 life, which is useful because, you know, you basically nullify, because normally attacks do like 2 damage roughly, which means if you were to cast this, you effectively nullify 3 attacks if each of them do 2 damage. Because the one that nullified and then the 3 extra life, and then you effectively only took 1 damage. So yeah, that could be useful. 4 copies. 4 copies of Star Jack Docking. You may only cast this card during an attack on the opponent's turn and you have no monsters on your center. Cast cost, pay 1 gauge, counter nullify the attack, and put up to 1 card from your drop zone to the soul of a Neo Dragon on your field. So say your opponent like got rid of a soul somehow, or like you have a Jack with no soul, or there's something in your drop zone that you need in the soul, just pay a gauge, cast this, nullify the attack, and then you get that important soul card back. In my defense, I really only use this just to get Alma into the soul because, once more, I just like the look of it in the anime, so. Next up, 4 copies of Star Bright Soul, our last spell. Pay a life to use. You can only cast a card once per turn. You have to pick one of the following 2. Either add up to 1 item with release condition from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck, or put up to a total of 2 Dragonarms and Jackknife cards from your drop zone into your hand. So if you ran out of Jackknives or you don't have a Jackknife in hand, you can just fetch them back, or Dragonarms that you need, or you can search your deck for the Dragon Force, and I only own 2 copies, so that's actually useful. 4 copies. Very situational card. Now onto items. 2 copies of my personally favorite item, which is why Strength is here and why Star Dragon of Bonds Jackknife is here. 2 copies of Twin Star Jack and Fang. This is my favorite solely by look and by skill. 4k power, 1 critical, pay a gauge and a life to equip. When your opponent is dealt damage by the effect of a Jackknife in its card name, deal 1 damage to your opponent. It has double attack. So, Jackknife, Star Dragon of Bonds, when it attacks, your opponent takes a damage. Then because of this, they take another damage. Then if they take the attack, they take a total of 4 damage. But then if you have Strength in the soul, because Strength is giving Penetrate to Jackknife, if the Jackknife attack hits, because technically speaking that Penetrate ability is now part of Jackknife, you can activate the effect of Twin Star Jack and Fang and do effect damage. Beautiful card, really useful. 2 copies. I only run it at 2 for I guess balance reasons and situational reasons, which is why I run 6 items, each for their own separate purpose. So, but yeah, in terms of favoritism, this is my favorite all around. 2 copies of J Star Saber, 2 critical, 6k power, pay a life to equip, act, choose a card from your drop zone and a monster with Jackknife on your field. You may pay a gauge. If you do, put the chosen card from your drop zone into the soul and put the top card of your deck into the soul of the chosen card. You may only use this ability once per turn. I've never actually equipped this. I only use this to either reduce, I would use this only either to reduce my life for the Dragon Force, or I would use it to like just stack up my Jack Soul, but either way, or just for the power, but either way, it's an okay card. Like I said before, very situational. Then, sorry. Then 2 copies of Snowy Dragon Force, 5k power, 2 critical, release condition, you have to have a Jackknife and its card name on your field. So, pay 2 gauge to equip it. When this card attacks and destroys an opponent's monster or deal damage to your opponent, you may put a Dragonarms from your drop zone into the soul of a Neo Dragon on your field. So, chance to cross knives with Jack, and it's just there because, well, the only reason I actually in this deck is for my impact, and I have to have an item with release condition on the field, and this was the cheapest one, so yeah. Finally, onto impact monsters. Another reason why I went of Jack and Fang. Jackknife, full Liberate cannon, 2 copies, 6k power, 6k defense, critical of 2, size 2. Card cost, pay 3 gauge and put this card on top of a Neo Dragon monster on your field and put a card from your drop zone into its soul. At the end of the battle that this card attacked, you may put up to 3 Dragonarms from your drop zone from this card's soul into the drop zone, and if you do, deal damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards put into the drop zone. He has Soul Guard, so pretty much use him as like the Hail Mary, where you attack with him to do 2, skill, you Soul Blast 3 Dragonarms, deal another 3 damage, so now they lost 5 life points, and then use Jack and Fang to bring them down to 6. So, yeah. And then the final card, and the only reason why Snowy Dragon Force is even in this deck, Stardust Shining Punisher, 4 copies. You may only cast this card if your opponent's life is 5 or less, you have a monster with Jackknife and its card name on your field, and you have an item with release condition equipped. Deal 5 damage to your opponent. This card cannot be nullified, its damage cannot be reduced, and if your opponent's life points will become 0 by this card effect, it cannot be changed by your opponent's cards. And it basically means unrevivable. So, it has no cost whatsoever. So, the second this goes off, your opponent loses no matter what they do, unless they can gain life points directly beforehand. But otherwise, it's game over. Well, that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. And I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to raise your flag.